Alright everyone, welcome back. I'm just jostling things around. Anyway, let's move on my discussion on the in-gear skills. The next skill you get is at level 35 and it's your scanning skill. This is a very useful skill. And I might need some clarification on this though. Anyway, this is what it looks like. A green thing there pops up and it allows you to detect invisible gears. The two gears that can go invisible are B gears, which have an invisible ability, and A gears, who have a camouflage ability. A gears, even though they can go invisible, they don't too often do it, and unlike B gears, they can't really fly around while invisible very well. They tend to be slower gears half the time. So, and they tend to just be wanting to shoot enemies too in one spot. So, invisibility not so useful for them. So you're usually watching out for B gears in the sky. When you use scanning, it has a 3-second cooldown down here, and up here you notice a countdown. It goes from 10 and all the way down to 0. Now this thing up here, I don't fully understand it. I honestly don't think it does anything, and the reason is that from my experience when I use scanning, it reveals any invisible gears at the time for a brief moment if they decide to continue to be invisible. And also, if I use it just before they go invisible, they sometimes stop going invisible because they feel they'll just be revealed over and over. So what you really want to do with scanning is to constantly use it, just like this. You spam scanning. And the times you want to do it is when you feel you want to detect an invisible B gear, or if you're camping a gate like this one right here and you don't want invisible B gears to pour out and get away, or if you're at this gate and you're watching for B gears coming from other directions who can either dive bomb you or even worse, use their exploding big boom ability, which not only kills them but everything around them. I'll explain more about that in a future video, like everything. So yeah, scanning, very useful ability. If you're ever at a gate or something, just keep using it and it will really help out to solidify the defense there. Also at level 35 you get the Call of Hero ability. Very important ability. Disadvantage to it though are two things. As of episode 3.2, right when you use it, it takes 5 seconds exactly to execute. See, when you use it, you get a cursor here. Now, you can only summon formation members, and you can have up to 5 other people in your formation. You can only summon them if they're in your formation. And you get a cursor here, you just select who you want to summon, and just click. I would click on Rem there, but he'd probably get pissed if I called him to me. So anyway, I'll just click. Right when I click, it starts that 5-second timer, in which case they get a window, which, I'm sorry I messed up there due to habit. They'll get a window that looks like this, except it'll say, do you want to accept a Call a Hero? And it'll have a 10-second timer in which they decide to say, yes, bring me to you, please take me, and cancel, as in, you know, reject, screw you. The deal with other gears with Call of Hero, and if you're another gear watching this, please keep this in mind. You want to accept or reject a Call of Hero immediately. The reason being for this is that while the window is active, an M-Gear cannot use any other visibilities. He can use shield kits, repair kits, he can buff himself. However, he can't use things like heal and stuff, which if he's being shot at by 10 jillion enemies and he's calling you for reinforcements, that's very bad. When you also get this window, you can either hit enter, you can either accept or cancel with your mouse. But I wouldn't recommend doing that. If you want to really quickly accept a code or reject it, use the enter key to accept it or the escape key to reject it. That way you can instantly accept or reject the window, and the M-Gear can either move on to coing other people or healing himself. After a co is executed from an accept or reject, a 1 to 2 second cooldown occurs here, in which case after that he can call a hero another person. But if the window's down, the M-Gear can do other things such as heal himself. So that's it about Call a Hero, although a final note is that Call a Hero can be very SP intensive. Let's take a look here. It takes 150 SP to call a hero someone. Of course, with 30%, that's a very good chunk off of that. However, you'll need at least 150 SP to actually use the ability. Moving on, at level 40 you get a very good and M-Gear unique personal buff called Elevation. On the site it's called something different, but it's Elevation. Let's take a look at what it does. Right here we have Elevation. Excuse me. The damage increase to the missile seems great, but the really important thing here is that on the advanced weapon you get more accuracy, 11.76%. Combine that with concentration, I mean, holy cow, I get something like, I don't know, 35% or something of increased probability or accuracy. That is a lot, which means an M-Gear is actually a gear that can hit evasion or hybrid built I-Gears. So you can easily annoy them, force them to kid or run away. Very, very useful in wars, and in fact an M-Gear makes a great I-Gear killer, and part of the reason is because of Elevation. Something to note though is that compared to your other buffs early on, this sucker takes like 55 SP or something. It takes a pretty big chunk of SP, so you want to be careful in using it sometimes because it can drain your SP. Because when you start out you tend to have pretty low SP. The next skill you get is also at level 40, and it's an M-Gear defining skill. It's the Reverse Engine skill. So basically by level 40 you get pretty much all the skills you get that define your class, and Reverse Engine really helps define it. As I mentioned in my very first video, when you activate Reverse Engine you go backwards, and it's also called a toggle skill. A toggle skill means that when you activate it, it's like a buff, but only as long as the skill is active. And so you see it active up here. While it's active, my SP slowly ticks away. As you can see here, I lose 6 SP pretty much every second or half second. When I use this skill, I go backwards. The speed at which I go backwards is pretty much fully determined by the speed I normally go when forward. As you can see here, when I normally go forward, it's about, let's see, I'm level about 189, 88. When I go backwards with Reverse Engine, 185. It goes faster a bit if I go down, vertical downward, vertical upward. It goes way slower, obviously, which is the case when you fly upward due to quote-unquote gravity, and downward due to gravity. You go faster if you go downward. You cannot use Reverse Engine and boost. Like if I boost, I go forward and it doesn't work at all. So you can only Reverse Engine at a decent speed, really. But it actually makes a huge difference. You use Reverse Engine for two main things. The first thing is if you're attacking a target, for example this I-Gear right here, and they're flying towards you with their missiles and guns blazing and all that, you can activate Reverse Engine and go backwards, and you can shoot them like this. What's good about this is that in normal gear combat, if I didn't use Reverse Engine, I would have to turn like this once they go past me in order to get another shot on my target. It's how I-Gears pretty much fight, because they can't go backwards all the time. M-Gear, however, you can always face your target and man up, and you can fight them like this. You can face and fight them all the time, and even actually outturn them if you know how to do it. Another thing Reverse Engine is used is to help with your turning, because while Reverse Engine is active, you actually turn quite a bit better with it on. Like if you use it really good, you can turn more quickly, but the main thing it does is it makes you turn more sharply, so you can actually turn better than most other gears, and you don't have to use something called hacks turning to really improve upon your normal turn. I'll most likely explain what that means in another video. A final thing to keep in mind with Reverse Engine though is that whenever you use it, obviously your SP goes down. You'll want to use it in short bursts if at all possible. For example, if I do a turn, I'll use it, I'll complete it, and there we go, I'll stop using it. I'll continue now in my next video. See you in a minute.